Why would you attack Dave Chappelle? And I'm not saying why would you attack Dave Chappelle, like, I'm sure people have reasons why they would. I'm just saying, like, for your own safety, why would you attack Dave Chappelle? I wake up this morning, and I'm seeing the news that apparently some dude decided to jump up on stage and attack a comedian who I don't think I have ever seen roll anything less than 15 deep. Dude gets up on stage while, Chappelle is telling the jokes and tries to tackle Dave Chappelle. Dude gets taken into the back. I say backstage, but you can clearly see what's happening backstage. They're not hiding it. And they straight up beat the tar out of this dude. And the pictures that are coming out, I'm sorry, dude. That is, he didn't die, but he deserves a Darwin Award. You don't do that. If I'm rolling with 15 to 20 guys at any given moment, the last thing you want to do is try to attack me physically, because the chances are that those 15 to 20 dudes are gonna shatter a few of your bones. I do not because the left is crazy. This is like beyond crazy. This is stupid. Like, I can respect a little crazy. I actually like a little crazy. Don't get me wrong. Okay? Crazy can be awesome. But this is just stupid. And check, like, this picture is hysterical. His name, apparently, his name is Lee. Isaiah Lee. He's 23, was charged with felony assault with a deadly weapon oh, he had a weapon. On Wednesday, the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed to Page 6 he's being held on $30,000 bail. Look at this guy. You freaking deserve it, dude. Like, hang on, what is he's got painted nails. I'm going to guess, and I'm just throwing this out there. I'm going to guess that he identifies as non-binary. I'm just gonna take a stab in the dark. I bet he identifies as non-binary, and he was getting revenge for Dave Chappelle telling some jokes. He was gonna be a hero to the trans community. I still wonder if he won't be considered a hero by the trans community for trying to do this. Despite the night's shocking turn of events, attendees Chris Rock managed to be... Dude, oh my, okay, hang on. I've got the video here. Hang on 2 seconds. Look at them beating it. Hang on. Look at this guy right here. He's straight up. Dude, they're going in on him. Look at him. They're stomping him. I would just assume that dude was dead. That is, not only does Dave Chappelle have personal security, he's got a lot of friends that go with him at all times, and he is surrounded, no matter where he goes, he's surrounded by friends. How stupid do you have to be? This is my favorite part, though. So Chris Rock is there. Oh, that was the tackle. Oh. That was the tackle. And all these people are going out. He's trying to run. There he goes behind his head. Oh, no.
Was that Will Smith?
Dude, Will Smith is so done. Will Smith is so done. How bad is it when they're making jokes at your expense when you're not even there anymore? Will Smith is so done. Chris Rock had the best line of the night. That was nuts. Jamie Foxx was there. Jamie Foxx he admitted to actually taking shots at the dude because he tried to hit Dave Chappelle. Dude, his arm is... No, he's...
Pretty good.
Look at that. Did you hear the lady in the back? Shouldn't have done that.
Pretty good.
Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that in the back? Here, let me turn it up.
Pretty good.
Shouldn't have done that. This is what happens. No joke. This is what happens when you get so wrapped up in your own nonsense that you decide physical violence is okay. But I mean, like, I'm going to assume that this guy did not think this out at all. Like, I think that in his mind, he probably thought he was going to get up on stage, he was going to tackle Dave Chappelle, and he was going to run off into the night like some hero. And then there was going to be a bunch of people on Twitter and social media, and maybe even some journalists that are like, oh, what a hero he was. Oh, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it. I think even, like, there were tweets. Let's see. She, her. Okay, so we're about to read a tweet from Saba. Chappelle gets attacked, and in video footage after the attack, Chappelle is seen to recover his composure and joke, "It was a trans man. Leave the trans community alone, FFS. BS words like this are why the trans community are the most victimized, assaulted, and Dude! Dave Chappelle just got assaulted, and here you are. Oh, the trans community are the ones that are assaulted and abused. Ernest Owens. Who is Ernest Owens? Award-winning journalist at Philly Mag, editor-at-large, author of upcoming book The Case for Cancel Culture. And he's got a little LGBT flag in his... Okay. If you think I'm going to feel sorry for that transphobe Dave Chappelle, please don't. The moment security protects him from the attack, he immediately jokes it was a transgender man. It wasn't. But it's clear that he will continue to put on trans people regardless. Okay, well, first off, it's trans people that have been trying to attack Dave Chappelle's career. They have been online trying to organize cancel culture mobs against him. So, and I mean, like, if you look at the dude, it's almost pretty clear. Like, I'm willing to bet this dude identifies as non-binary. I'm pretty much willing to bet he identifies as non-binary. I just judging by his look, judging by his painted nails, judging by the fact that he attacked Dave Chappelle alone, I'm pretty sure he identifies as some form of member of the LGBT community. I bet he has they, them in his profile description. And if he doesn't, then I'll be surprised. I will, honest to God, be surprised. How y'all doing? How you doing? I saw that and I was like, I gotta talk about this. Things need to happen to that guy. Dude, they did happen to that guy. I mean, he deserved it. Dude, okay, first off, don't attack anybody who is consistently surrounded by security when he goes out and friends who are more than willing to kick your ass. Right? Don't do that. But also, don't attack people. Don't physically go out and attack people. If you don't put yourself in that position, you won't have your arm at this angle, I don't know, looking like a cartoon while you're getting wheeled away in an ambulance. Security earned their money last night. Apparently it was more than security, according to Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, who said he himself was taking some shots at the dude. He got tackled in the back. Like, where was he going to go? What was his plan afterwards? Quick, I can escape through the mob of fans that will beat me as... Dude, that's a really good point, 10-9. That's a good point. Can you imagine what would have happened if he had tried to go back into the crowd? He got lucky that he got caught by Dave Chappelle's security and all the other people who were there. He got lucky. Because I bet they at least practiced a little bit of restraint when they were kicking his ass. I bet the crowd would not have. That's a really good point. That's an unnatural bend. Courtesy of Dave Chappelle's security. Gonna have a hard time typing for the next couple of minutes. I can't see very well past my face palm. We're gonna have to talk about this. This is like the biggest story that's happening right now. I'm pretty sure that you guys have seen what's going on. Apparently, somebody decided at the Supreme Court that they were going to leak a draft decision. And for those of you who don't know what a draft decision is, it's, you know how they have decisions that are made and they write them out. This was just kind of like one of the drafts. Like it wasn't complete. They're still going to go in. They're going to make a lot of revisions. Their opinions might change on something as they hear stuff, but that's pretty much like it gives you a good direction as to where the court is headed. A draft decision. Because the decision has already sort of kind of been made. They're just really refining it at this point in time because they want to be as accurate as possible. They want to be as clear as possible. And it concerns Roe v. Wade. And it seems like Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. Which, have y'all seen the end of Star Wars, like the original trilogy? That's kind of what's happening right now. Just celebrations everywhere. With the exception of people on the left who are absolutely furious. And we're going to get into that in a second. But we're left with questions. Who leaked it? Who leaked it? What kind of legal trouble are they in? Now, I'm no lawyer. I can't tell you what kind of punishments they'll face. But I'm pretty sure that at least one of the punishments is going to be you're fired and you're never working in this town again unless you get hired by lobbyists, which you might. Or who knows, you might become a CNN or MSNBC reporter. You'll become a legal expert. We have ideas. People are circulating ideas as to who it could be. I really like the one that came out from Will Chamberlain. Will Chamberlain actually dug into some of the SCOTUS clerks for some of the lefty judges and came out with one really good one. We're going to discuss that. But it's kicked off a pretty big fight. Not just online, but in the streets. It's taken to the streets. Because you know how it is. You start a riot in the Capitol, it's okay if you're a leftist. It's okay if you're a leftist. You just kick off a riot in the Capitol and you are identified in any way, shape, or form as possibly maybe being a right-winger, and you're done. You will be held without trial for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen Wile E. Coyote look at that, but... What's up, AmTruth13? This is not the first leak. First leak was Justice Breyer retiring. Then he did, LOL. See, I never considered that one a leak, per se, because, it was... I think judges retiring or talking about retiring has not necessarily been, like, secret information. This was definitely something that wasn't supposed to get out. This was supposed to be more refined and thought out, and stuff was supposed to happen before a decision is even released to the public. So somebody did this, and I have an idea as to why they did this. And it's not just to kick off, like, it's not just to sound the warning bell. They're going to overturn Roe. Oh, no. Yes, it would have kicked off a fight. It would have always kicked off a fight. Don't get me wrong, but I think the timing is really interesting. I think the timing is very interesting. I'm going to be putting on my tinfoil hat a bit today because I have some theories. And I hope that you guys have some theories too. I will be reading those. It came from an aide to a leftist judge, just like the first one. Yeah. No, I 100% believe that. And Will Chamberlain, we're going to talk about that in a second. For Breyer, they were driving billboard trucks around the Supreme Court to get him to retire. How horrible is that? That they have to launch an entire campaign to get you to retire because they're scared that you're going to die soon. Dude, Ruth Bader Ginsburg freaked the left out so bad when she died. And I understand why. Because now the Supreme Court is more or less a right-leaning entity. I would venture to not even say right-leaning. I would say that it's just a textualist entity at this point. Like it's going to follow the Constitution as it should. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it's a lot better than it used to be. And they did not want Breyer to get in the way with his death and allow something like the next. Here's the funny part. You know what that actually told me, though? Like, they were like, Breyer needs to get out now. He needs to get out now. It tells me that they have no confidence in the fact that Democrats are going to win the White House next election season after the midterms. It tells me that they're looking into the future and going, oh, we're boned. We're boned. 8 ways to Sunday, we're boned. Roe v. Wade being overturned isn't that big of a deal. Just goes back to the states. Abortion will still be available. Amazon is paying for employees to get them. LOL, this is for the midterms. Yes! Okay, Amtrue. You cut me off at the pass because that's exactly what I think this is. I mean, I'll discuss this in a little bit, but I think that you're right. I think that this is more about the midterms than it is about Roe v. Wade. And here's the thing. Roe v. Wade, and just as Amtrue said, this is not the end, per se, of abortion. It just means that it's going to the states, which it should be in the first place. This is, the collapse of Roe v. Wade is basically returning the decision for abortions to the people and whether or not they want their state to be involved in it. And many states are going to say no. And for perfectly valid reasons. Okay, abortion should be used in the utmost necessity. It's going to kill the wife, the baby is going to die a slow death, something horrible. Okay, but terminating a life just because it's inconvenient to you is not a reason to terminate a life. Period. And I do not understand how we as a society have gotten to a point where we think that, oh yeah, just abortion on demand abortion is a sacred right. Like, dude, you know who else thought abortions were sacred rights? Ancient tribes that used to sacrifice children to gods so the crops would grow better. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. How many babies needlessly died? How many children have died over the past 100 years? Any one of them could have solved cancer. Any one of them could have taken us into space even further than Musk at this point. What if Elon Musk was aborted? Leftists don't answer that. It's pretty clear that this is an element of altering the trajectory of the 2022 elections. Warmongering Democrats fawning over Ukraine needed a domestic galvanizing compliment. I spend a lot of time reading. Yes, no, Dennis, you're right. Abortion, yeah. Abortion is a galvanizing issue as powerful as gun control. Here's the difference, though, between that. I think that gun control is a consistently losing argument for Democrats. I think that, especially nowadays after the Black Lives Matter riots, you had a lot of people buying guns for the very first time, and not just your standard conservatives, oh, I'm buying a gun because, my rights and stuff. Perfectly valid reason to buy a gun, by the way. By the way, a perfectly valid reason to buy a gun in America is because you want one. That's a perfectly valid reason. But many people in the black community were buying them because they wanted a way to protect their stores because they were afraid that their town was next in the riots. And they wanted to protect their livelihoods, and good for them. You had leftists who live in these cities who were previously anti-gun suddenly going in and buying guns for the first time. They suddenly became pro-gun because they knew that, whenever you see footage of Antifa and Black Lives Matter rioters marching down your neighborhood, telling people straight up that they are going to burn their houses down, then yeah, you want a gun. You want a gun because at any moment, if any one of these guys breaks into your home and you can't defend yourself, what do? So a lot of these lefties and a lot of the black community suddenly became gun owners. They were very pro-gun, and that is one of the reasons why they haven't really been banging the drum for gun control for a long time. Democrats used to think that this was like, remember back when they had CNN had that whole NRA attack on NRA. They had like Dana Lash sitting next to Arpaio, and they basically put Dana in front of these Parkland kids to answer for her sins and the sins of all gun owners. Like that was kind of how far they wanted to take it. And then after that, the Black Lives Matter riots happened. And a lot of people suddenly who weren't pro-gun suddenly became pro-gun. And they were aghast. I can remember Kira Davis wrote this article. People were aghast to find out how hard it was to get a gun when they really needed one. It made a lot of people understand the Second Amendment and how important it was. And now guns have become a massively losing issue for the left. And so they have not attacked it as hard as they usually. I still think that every now and again they'll say something or do something to keep up appearances. But otherwise, they kind of have backed off of it. Now, abortion, on the other hand, abortion is still one of those subjects that can really rally a base really quickly. You say the word women's rights, which, by the way, funny enough, they couldn't, 3 days ago, women didn't exist. Now, all of a sudden, they do. Isn't that hilarious? But they say the word women's rights, and all of a sudden, like, people think that, oh, we're under threat. We're under attack. And we need to unite. We need to rally around Democrats because they're going to protect our rights. Now, all of a sudden, the things that Joe Biden and his administration, the Democrats, were being destroyed and raked over the coals over, the economy, Afghanistan, open borders, rising crime, all of that stuff, inflation, all of that stuff is going to go quiet for a little while. And it's all going to get focused on abortion and women's rights. And you're going to watch their approval rating go up a little bit just in time for campaigns to happen for midterms. The Aztecs and the Mayans and a couple of Egyptians too. Yeah, exactly. That's who thinks abortion is a sacred right. My question about the midterms, though, is the decision should be right before the midterms anyway. So surely this cuts the sales since people will over with issues before the midterm. Well, here's the thing, 10-9. I've seen that a lot. It's like, well, it's a little too soon. I wouldn't say that. Because if you really think about it, what do you do with a pissed off populace? You immediately start fundraising. So you're going to see, and I'm pretty sure I'm not on a lot of these lists for Democrats, but I'm pretty sure that if I were to go right now and sign up for like Elizabeth Warren and her email list, what else? Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, like all of these people, if I were to go to their email lists or sign onto their email lists, every single email that I would be getting right now would be, we have to save the country from these right-wing bigots who want to snatch women's bodies and their rights away from them. Send us money. The DNC is definitely fundraising on. I know for a fact. They're going to take that money and then they're going to start dividing it between the Democratic campaigns around the states. They're going to save up that money and start handing it to campaigns. So not only do they get the fundraising thing, John Seach, thank you so much for the subscription. Not only do they get to fundraise, they can also generate public movements. So let's say if a march starts, and a huge social war begins, everything that the Democrats have been guilty of and are suffering from right now goes out the window, at least for a little while. We stopped talking about the economy. We stopped talking about Russia. We stopped talking about all this stuff that Democrats had basically paved the way for. And we start focusing on this thing. And because of that, Democrat approval ratings will go up, which means more money from fundraising. I think that this is like so perfectly timed. They tried putting Rittenhouse in prison. Yeah. Gun control is now a peripheral issue in the U.S. politics because of things like Black Lives Matter that galvanized ordinary people. Yep, absolutely. A Supreme Court nominee, soon to be justice, could not define the word woman. Y'all, they couldn't. The Democrat Party refused to define what the word woman meant just a few days ago. Refused to. Now all of a sudden this happened. By the way, and I kind of wrote this, and I'm just going to talk about it real fast because I think it's very interesting. The transgender community just got its first abandonment moment from the Democrat Party. And it's true. The transgender community up until a few days ago was infallible. You could not say anything bad about them. Everything that they said was correct, whether it defied biology or science or not. Now all of a sudden, everything that they have been saying about the transgender community since 2015 is moot. just in this one moment, because now all of a sudden we're back to women's rights. There was no women just a minute ago. Now all of a sudden there are women. The transgender community was like the highest and holiest of groups under the protective umbrella of the Democrats, and now all of a sudden, they're nothing. They're chopped liver. They're being forgotten about immediately. All the people who got mad at people like J.K. Rowling and the radical feminists who got banned from Twitter for refusing to say that women and men were interchangeable and that there was no real difference, and that, you know, men who identify as women are women, the feminists, radical feminists who refuse to say that and were banned off of Twitter, suddenly are right again. Suddenly they're right again. It really just goes to show you, chat, the Democrat Party has no friends. They do not have any friends. None. They have allies that are convenient in the moment. And I hope the transgender community, and pretty much anybody watching, whether it's the LGBT community, the black community, the Asian community, it doesn't matter what community or group you belong to, the Democrats do not have any loyalty toward you. They might make you think for a while that you are the most important person in the room, that you know, anything bad happening to you is bad for society. They might make you think that you are invincible, all-powerful, infallible, and everything under the sun that essentially makes you nothing short of a god. But the moment you become inconvenient, the moment that you become less than useful, is the moment that you're discarded by the Democrat Party. The transgender community has been discarded by the Democrat Party because of this issue. They remembered that abortion was a galvanizing issue, like Dennis said, and now they had a reason to put that forward. They had a reason to make that an issue again with this draft decision that was leaked from SCOTUS. And like a child who got bored with a toy, they were like, "Hey!" That's pretty much how it went. I hope that every group watching remembers this. The transgender community was the holiest of holies up until a few days ago. You forgot about fundraising campaign? Dude, it's all about fundraising campaigns. At the end of the day, it's all about the money and power, man. Rich, famous, and powerful. $33 billion to Ukraine with an $8 billion slush fund to other countries in it. Did y'all watch that Tucker Carlson report? Because it was nuts. We're giving way more money to Ukraine to defend their borders than we actually put into defending our own. That's sad. Could we go fully conspiratorial and surmise that maybe the leaker was promised immunity to do this? I think that there has to be... Delacroix, here's the thing. I think that this leaker was definitely, and this is just me putting on my tinfoil hat here, okay? I think that, as we just discussed, they needed something to talk about for the midterms, right? Something else, something that distracts, something that galvanizes. They needed that. I think that one person did leak it, but I think it went through channels that helped it arrive at Politico. But before it got to Politico, I'm 90% sure that the White House saw it, that other groups, like even the judge, the sitting judge, whoever this person belonged or clerks for, saw it. And they got together and pretty much released this draft opinion. That's just my tinfoil hat theory. It just seems a little too convenient to me that this happens at this moment. And on top of that, it's weird to me that Joe Biden released a statement with a battle plan like immediately after the political report. Like, it took no time at all. And keep in mind that this is the same Joe Biden, the Biden administration, that drags its feet on everything. Everything. The border, rising crime rates, everything. Our economy, inflation, energy crisis drags its feet on everything. But they had an immediate battle plan for this. It's a little strange to me. 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 It's a lit Yep. Eat their own on a regular basis. Just watched Brandon Straka with Tucker interview. Just wow. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? American politics is all about taking advantage of the movement of the moment, but it's all for show. Never let a crisis go to waste. The whole judicial system is on communist Democrats' side. Ricochet, I don't necessarily agree with that because Trump spent a lot of time putting in judges. A lot of time. And even on many occasions, Democrats have just thrown their hands up in the air and just been like, if it goes to federal court, we're done. We're done. Most of the trans community has been brainwashed and put into that lifestyle. Pretty sad. I mean, they're brainwashed enough to go and attack Dave Chappelle on stage. Not a single group will. Only some individuals will see it for what it is. Pandering. Red, I really honestly think that you're right. You're right. But I think that there are just so many people who don't see the forest for the trees. And they're so easily brainwashed. They're so easily convinced. Red State is full of hacks. What? Hey, Susie, how's it going? I'm the only hack at Red State. No immunity. The left will hold whoever it is a martyr when they go to prison. Oh, yeah, probably. They're going to have, eventually, I think they're going to have a fall guy. Eventually. The reality is that there are no secrets inside the DC Beltway. There are no accidents in national politics. Exactly. I do not think that someone would take this big of a risk unless there was some sort of guarantee behind her or him. I say her because I think Will Chamberlain is right in who he kind of pegged as who it might be. And by the way, I'm about to talk about this. I want to make it clear to everybody: do not go after this person. I do not want this person harassed on my account. Okay, I don't want my listeners or my viewers to sit there and go after anybody who I talk about in this. I want to make that very clear. The reality is that there are no secrets. I already read that. Somehow it had to be. The organization was insane, but he can't say anything about the National Guardsman who died in Texas. Yeah. That's another good point, Carrie. Another good point. How come he had this ready to go, but he can't say anything about people who died, law enforcement officers who died doing their job to protect his country? Just a simple newsflash, in my opinion. Everything since Biden has taken office has been done on purpose, not ignorance or slow or... See, and I've been saying this, Amtrue. I don't think you're wrong. And I think that there is, like, if you really stand back and go, man, none of what they're doing makes sense. It's even detrimental to their own party because they're constantly doing things that make them lose and make them lose popularity. It doesn't make any sense that they're doing this until you take a step back and you go, man, this is, if I were to put a bunch of college-age activists in charge at the White House, this is exactly what they would do. Not thinking about it, not doing anything smart, not running this with wisdom, just straight up balls to the wall, reckless abandon activism. And I think that's exactly what happens whenever you have a leader who's not a leader. You have people in the background who are taking advantage of the fact that they are pulling the strings of the guy up front. And this definitely isn't some tinfoil hat theory. Joe Biden's clearly not in charge. Clearly not in charge. This man is paraded around as a figurehead, but he does not have the mental capacity to make good decisions. He is consistently... Y'all, he got saved by the Easter Bunny whenever they started to ask him questions. This dude is not in charge, which means somebody behind him is. And the people behind him are, and judging by the radicalization of the Democrat Party, the people behind him are radicals themselves. This is what happens when you don't have a leader. You have a figurehead. People behind the scenes can do what they want and take no blame for it. Just a simple news. Oh, I already read that. Do you read the live chat? I'm reading it now. I was they're in a cult and they project upon others that they're in a. I think you're right, John. I was an alcoholic, but in Forrest, still an alcoholic. Just drink anymore. Much better life. I love my alcohol. I've been really into Modelo lately. I used to be a Shiner man. I'm still a Shiner guy, but man, I love Modelo. Best part of this, cinema and mansion still not support the filibuster. Or still will not support the filibuster. There is one in your one for your tinfoil hat. I actually have here. Break out the old tinfoil hat, m'lady. The left are all insane. I think I'm ordered to vote. You should have a pass a mental. In order to vote, you should have a pass a mental test. Dude, half the country would fail at this rate. You know what we should bring back? You have to own land to vote. Which side? I don't own any land. I disagree. Whoever leaked might just be an emotional harpy. Yale law student grant. It could. Yale law student grant. You might be right. This is all speculation at this point. All we have right now is speculation. We have, people talking about how we're gonna have an FBI investigation. Which, okay, great. Yeah, the FBI getting involved. This is gonna be awesome. But I think that it just seems a little more coordinated. It seems a little bit too convenient in many ways for this to just be a random law student losing it, or former law student, a clerk, just some activist clerk losing it and be like, I'm going to leak information from the Supreme Court. Something tells me they're a little bit smarter than that, and that this is a little bit more coordinated. And in order to run for president too, Mike, I'm with you on that one, dude. With you on that. It's tinfoil hat time. Tinfoil hat time is some of my favorite time. Half the country can't drive a car. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying that our system's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. Stupid people can vote, and they're going to be convinced to vote for stupid reasons. That's what happens when you live in a constitutional republic that bases itself on freedom and everyone being able to have their say at some point in time, in some way, shape, or form. You're going to have stupid. The issue is that a lot of these people are stupid because they have been convinced to be stupid. They have been convinced to stay ignorant on all of this. Then why does red state always amplifies any conflict of interest between President Trump and Governor DeSantis? Why do you guys hate MAGA? No one hates MAGA, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. There is not an amplification of Trump versus DeSantis. I'm not going to get stun locked on this, but I want to say this. If there is an issue that is going to come up in the future elections, which I think DeSantis is totally going to run, he has no reason not to. Bonchi made a very good point as to why. Then this is inevitably going to come up. And if it does, then Trump and DeSantis are going to run against each other. And I do not know how that is going to turn out. My whole entire thing was, no matter what happens, let's not kill each other over this. Let's make sure that we keep this relatively friendly, because we're all on the same side. We all want the best for it. We just have two different dudes who are going for that each of us are going after. So it's not that we're trying to be like, oh, we hope that they fight. We're not like shaking bugs in a jar. But if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We're going to talk about it. And it should be talked about. It absolutely should be talked about. Dude, she couldn't resist it. I put on that tinfoil hat. It was all over. What FBI? Dude, that's... Honestly, somebody put that on a shirt. What FBI? Yeah, we don't have an FBI anymore. Good God. I love when Joe Biden tried to shake hands with nobody even around him. Yo, that made me feel so bad for him. I felt so bad. That was the moment where I was like, no one respects Joe Biden. No one respects Joe Biden. That was an exaggeration. Oh, well, only about a fourth can't drive. Wait, is that an actual statistic? See, I was actually willing to believe the whole 50% thing, to be honest. You could have sold that to me and I'd been like, that sounds about right. But how long did he leak it to Politico before Politico put it out there? Could they have waited till the Ducks were in a row? But I feel like their Ducks were kind of in a row. Because if the ultimate goal is fundraising and gathering or galvanizing the base, fundraising, and distracting, those three things, then it's done. Like they're on the right track. And here's the other thing that I think is interesting. I think that you have people out there who are definitely wanting to take it. Do you think that Elizabeth Warren, have you guys seen the videos of her lately? Like, somebody needs to come get grandma because she is being insane right now. Tackru, what's up, buddy? It is their job to bring it to our attention, not tell us what to think. Yeah. I read Red State every day, and Red State is anti-Trump. Dude, we're not anti-Trump. Have you read anything that I've written? Good God. Like, if you read Red State every day, then you would not say that we're anti-Trump, bro. Have an opinion about what we're talking about and drop the attacks or I'll time you out. Yeah. Dude, I'm all about people having... If you want to argue and debate with me, I'm completely fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But make sure that you're coming at me with, like, actual, like, facts. Don't just speculate that I'm anti-Trump. I'm not... Dude, read my articles, bro. I'm totally not anti-Trump. I will criticize him when he deserves to be criticized, as I should, as anybody should do. But no, Red State is not anti-Trump. I don't think Trump is going to run. I think he's fundraising so he can keep his fingers in the pie. I don't know yet. I don't know if he is going to run. If he does, I'm not going to lie, I would be a little wary of his age. But if he is spry and he's doing just fine, he's not Joe Biden, then he wants to run, then he should run. Then he should run. But I do think that DeSantis is also going to run. I think because I think his time as governor is almost up. And if he takes a break and walks away and lets Trump take one election cycle and then he tries to take the next, I don't see Ron DeSantis maintaining the same amount of popularity. His iron is hot right now, and he should strike it. Trump has already been through the fire. He should be elected again. Help pave the way for DeSantis afterwards, thinking long term. No, Amtrue, I don't think that you're wrong. If he does run, I do think Trump... I don't want to get stun locked on this, but I think that if he does run, Trump stands a very good chance of winning. I just think that if DeSantis also does not run at this point in time, his popularity is going to drop off. 4 years is a long time. And 4 years without DeSantis actually like doing anything, pulling some sort of strings and being a leader, people will forget and they'll lose the fire for him. So I think that DeSantis is going to run. Bonchi came out with an amazing article about it, and I'll see if I can't link it here to my Twitter after the show. Remind me. Did you see the staffer that was helping Warren with the drug? Yes, I did. Yeah, okay. Before I get, because look at this. This is insane.
So how are you feeling?
I am angry.
Angry and upset?
Angry and upset and determined. The United States Congress can keep Roe versus Wade the law of the land. They just need to do it.
I've never seen you so angry. You seem to be...
This is what the Republicans have been working toward this day for decades. They have been out there plotting, carefully cultivating these Supreme Court justices so they could have a majority on the bench who would accomplish something that the majority of Americans do not want.
So false, but also, did she just accuse, am I crazy? Did I mishear her? Did she just accuse Republicans of effectively killing Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Is that the level of crazy that we're going to go with? Let me listen to that again just real fast.
Republicans have been working toward this day for decades. They have been out there plotting, carefully cultivating these Supreme Court justices so they could have a majority on the bench who would accomplish something that the majority of Americans do not want.
Republicans have been carefully cultivating and planning and plotting? Did she just say, y'all, does she think that Trump killed Ruth Bader Ginsburg or something? Like this was all a giant plot to push the Supreme Court into Republicans' favor? Did she just say that? This woman is off the first off, the pink coat. The pink coat tells me, and this behavior, this is clearly acting. I don't think she's actually this mad. I don't think she's this mad. She is wearing pink. She's being overly bombastic. She is effectively saying that Republicans killed Ruth Bader Ginsburg here. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that seems like a very bold statement to make. This woman is doing exactly what she always does whenever there's an opportunity. She is effectively just performing for attention. This is all about attention for Elizabeth Warren. Because this isn't just the only moment. There's like another moment where she's sitting in front of a crowd of protesters and she is going ballistic. Let the chips fall where they may. Agree. Looking at yesterday's primaries, look at Trump-backed candidates. Did okay in their party primaries. Yeah. The left is certain it can win with intellectual dishonesty. In fact, they count on it. They win off the back, literally, I think, of overdramatics. And because of their overdramatics being so successful in the past, they have ratcheted it up to 11. This is proof, right? This is up to 11 right here. Well, maybe, for Elizabeth Warren, I would say that ratcheting up to 11 is like Black Lives Matter riots in Antifa. Projecting much there. Dude, she's... no, but she accused Republicans of being effective for once. Yeah. I mean, it just seems a little strange to me that she said, they've been cultivating this for years. Maybe I'm going a little overboard. It just seems a little strange to me that she would say something like that. I'm sure that's not what she meant. I'm sure that's not what she meant. Let me be clear here. I don't think she actually meant that Republicans killed Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But I do think it's funny that her language here makes it sound like we just plotted all of this to take over the court. She sounds like Veruca Salt. Decades of plotting, cultivating conspiracy theory much. Dude, I don't trust Republicans to be that effective. I don't trust Republicans to actually be that forward thinking. Because Republicans, let's face facts about Republicans, guys. Republican politicians, they're not. I wrote about this not long ago in VIP. Sign up for VIP, promo code Morse for a discount on sign up. Republicans are not proactive. They're reactive. And they have been for years. Now, given that there's starting to become a change there, I think Trump started to kind of trigger a change that allowed Republicans or taught Republicans to go more on the offensive. But, bro, I do not think for 5 seconds that Elizabeth Warren is right here. Republicans ain't that. The Republican politicians, they ain't that. They don't have enough gumption. They don't have enough gumption for that kind of, backroom shadowy plotting and planning. Some are already turning on RGB. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're mad at her for dying. Just, again, goes to show you, Democrats don't have any friends. There are no heroes. Democrats have no heroes. The moment that you become inconvenient or the moment that you cross them in any way, you're done. They turn against you. Poor Ruth Bader Ginsburg just died, and they hate her for it. Warren definitely is a political animal. Their control of media is unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Time to go to the next. Later, Dennis. Thanks for stopping by, man. I saw pictures of Kenosha after BLM was done. No words. Yeah. Ricochet, bro, you got to move on, man. Not only are you wrong, but you're on the wrong stream if you think that we're just going to sit there and talk about Trump the whole time. I'm not going to, man. I already addressed it. You can take it or leave it, but I'm not going to sit here and focus on you the entire time, bro. At least RGB here isn't here to hear it. No respect. I wonder if she would actually be surprised, to be honest with you. I actually feel bad for her. I want to talk about this real fast. Will Chamberlain, he released a Twitter thread, and he thinks that he might have narrowed down who it was because all these he started pulling on the thread of the sweater, and he came up with something that I think is very interesting. Meet Elizabeth Deutsch. By the way, this is him trying to figure out who exactly leaked this draft decision. And I think he's got a good point here. And I also want to address something after this. Many people are saying he's doxing her. He's not doxing her. There's a difference between this woman and what happened to Libs of TikTok. Meet Elizabeth Deutsch. She's currently a law clerk for Justice Breyer. And in my humble opinion, she's the most likely person to have leaked the draft Supreme Court opinion in Dobbs purporting to overturn Roe v. Wade. But first, a disclaimer, I have no inside information. This thread is speculation based almost entirely on publicly available information. I could easily be wrong. Cool. So here's where things start to get, he starts to go back and look at this lady. By the way, everything that he is posting is public information that she herself put online. He's just connecting dots. Her academic background isn't that uncommon for Supreme Court clerks. Yale undergrad, Yale Law, and 2 British master's degrees from LSE and Cambridge. Do note the master's degree in gender. Nothing yet, right? Like, okay, that's just not that big of a deal, but wait. Here's where this starts to get interesting. Every law student has to write a note, a long legal research paper, usually making a novel argument about the law. Elizabeth Deutsch wrote hers about reproductive rights and abortion. Okay, circumstantial still. Little out there, but okay. We can see her motive a little bit. Specifically, she argued that Obamacare's non-discrimination provision should be interpreted to force Catholic hospitals to perform emergency abortions. Aggressive argument, and hey, law students make aggressive arguments. So, again, still not 100% there, but we have a motive. Or at least we have a background wish for something extreme to happen to allow abortion on demand. While in law school, and not just abortion on, like basically forcing like religious institutions to perform abortions. Super aggressive, a little extreme, but we kind of get an idea of how much she believes in abortion. While in law school, she wrote a New York Times op-ed about reproductive rights, sensing a theme here. So she's really into this. She is all about abortion. Her career page on LinkedIn doesn't reveal that much until we start digging a little further. First, thanks to her New York Times wedding announcement. Did you, why? I didn't know you could actually announce your wedding in New York Times. Is there a reason why you would do that? Thanks to her New York Times wedding announcement, of course, we know that she clerked for Judge Nina Pillard. Or Pillard. I had no idea you pronounced it like Pillard was one of the D.C. Circuit judges appointed by Obama and forced through by Harry Reid blowing up the filibuster. She's stridently pro-choice. Perhaps not shocking. After her clerkships, she got a grouper fellowship at the ACLU for a full year. What was she working on? You guessed it, abortion and reproductive rights. But none of this proves anything, and he's right. This is all just at this point in just time like, oh, well, she's really into abortion. She really is into going to extremes for abortion and effectively giving people no choice about having to perform in whether or not they want to. But it continues. Yes, Deutsch's career seems pretty focused on abortion, but without some connection to Josh Gerstein, the journalist who received the leaked opinion, there would be no reason to suspect her. Well, guess what? Let's go back to that NYT wedding announcement. The bride and groom met at Yale. She is a lawyer. He is a journalist. Isaac Arnsdorf got hired by the Washington Post as national political reporter. Of course, he's on the Trump beat. He's, super anti-Trump. But where has he written in the past? Oh, look, he wrote for Politico, sharing a byline with Josh Gerstein. Looks like Gerstein and they are still bros, chatting on Twitter, interacting as recently as last year. And I'm being told, I haven't seen this myself yet. I was going to go look it up. Apparently, the tweets that they had together, talking to one another, are being deleted. Very interesting, if you ask me. So to conclude, we have a currently serving Supreme Court law clerk whose career has almost been solely focused on abortion. She wrote her law school note on abortion. She wrote op-eds about reproductive rights. She spent a year working on abortion now for the ACLU. She clerked for a stridently pro-choice appellate judge. And it just so happens that her husband is a journalist who shared bylines with Josh Gerstein at Politico, and it looks like they are still buds. I don't know that Elizabeth Deutsch leaked the draft opinion, but I certainly think someone who has spent much of their academic and professional life fighting to expand the right to get an abortion could be desperate enough to do so. If I were, let's say that I was let's go into the realm of fantasy and say that I was a competent FBI agent. That I was an FBI agent who really just wants to do a good job and you know, bring the truth out. I would start with this woman immediately. She seems to have the motive and the connection. And I want to reiterate something. Do not go after this woman. I want to do not start to attack her or anything like that. I don't know if she's on Twitter. I haven't looked. I just want to make it clear that Will has brought up a really good point, and it seems very much like this woman has not only the motive, but the connections. So if I were to guess, if I were to put my money on who leaked it, I would say it's Elizabeth Deutsch. I think that Will has a really good point. And by the way, I want to make this clear. Many people are attacking Will for doxing her and trying to compare it to libs of TikTok. This woman, every single bit of information that Will got was posted in public. It's all public. She even announced her wedding on the New York Times to this guy who has written openly in public with the guy who reported on the leak. The connections all add up. Again, I don't have confirmation. This is all speculative. But it also goes to show you that there are people in the background at the Supreme Court who are public servants who are activists. There is an activist that is currently in the Supreme Court, clerking for the Supreme Court. And it makes you wonder who else is there? Who's doing what behind the scenes? What kind of strings are they pulling? Here's the other question I want to ask. Let's say it is Elizabeth Deutsch. Did she talk to anybody, any superior, before she leaked it? What superior did she talk to? Did that superior talk to anybody else? Seems a little strange. I think Will probably nailed it. And again, this isn't doxing. This is all public. This is public information that they themselves put out. And I want to differentiate this between libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok was a private citizen who is not a public servant who wished to remain anonymous. And they tracked her down and exposed her anyway. And she wasn't even releasing information, private information to the government. All she was doing was releasing information that people had publicly put out themselves. She was doxxed. Elizabeth Deutsch was not. So I think this is very good work by Will Chamberlain. Very good work. Twitter is turning into something awesome with Elon. I haven't been banned yet. Yeah, I know. People are just saying all sorts of stuff. And when I say all sorts of stuff, I just mean facts. Also, even the elite universities are pushing wokeness. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're trying to do that in schools as well. Does anyone ever think that we are literally living episodes of West Wing? It wouldn't surprise me. Will has connected some dots here. It was very good. I mean, and this is all just following. He just followed the thread. He did better reporting in a Twitter thread than I have seen from like the New York Times or Washington Post in a year. I don't care to attack anyone that doesn't attack me. Pretty simple. Attacking anyone is very counterproductive. Solves nothing. Ask the guy who attacked Dave Chappelle. Accomplished nothing. Just made Dave Chappelle look much better. Ingram clerk for the SCOTUS. She said that if anything ever leaves the Supreme Court, you will never have a job again. Her words. Yeah. And if this was, and I'm again no legal expert, but if this was actually coordinated, like if the judge she clerked for knew that this was happening, impeachment is in the works. It's got to be, right? Like it just seems like this is pretty crazy. Whoever did this violated trust at the national level. I don't disagree. Whoever did this harmed everyone. Yeah. And I think it's her. I think Will's right. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. This is why I'm saying don't attack this woman. Don't go after her. I just think it's very interesting that you have people like her who are currently working in the Supreme Court. And these activists, here's why. Let me get this across. If we have activists like this working in the Supreme Court who are willing to do something like this and betray the national trust and expose the secrets of the Supreme Court, and when I say secrets, I just, in this case, just something that's not ready to come out yet, right? If she's willing to do that, what else are people like her willing to do? If this is her, if it's her, I should say that. What else are they willing to do? What are they doing in the background, in the shadows that we don't know about in order to make sure that their side gets the upper hand? Something to really ponder. Because people, like whoever it is, they can't be trusted. And I think that there has to be some sort of, I don't know, if you are so extreme to one end, I think that you should definitely not qualify. Given, I'm pretty sure that she got the job because she is extreme to one end. She's useful. And if you are that into, if you are willing to, I don't know if this is against the law per se. I'm pretty sure it is. It's in some way, shape, or form. If not, then okay, but maybe it should be. But I think that if you are that willing to go, if you are an extremist, you're that willing to go that far, what else are you willing to do? It's just scary to think about. I don't know about West Wing, but I recently started listening to the 1984 audiobook and had to shut it off after chapter 4 and go back to chapter 2 when I realized I'd lost track of fantasy versus reality. If the justice knew and instructed someone, oh wow, that would be very bad. That would be horrible. Horrible. And I think impeachment would be on the books at that point. I don't know about the West. What FBI? They could not figure out a garage rope. It's not a noose. Oh my God. My family is very involved in NASCAR. My brother worked for Roush Racing. He was an over-the-wall guy for a while on one of the pit crews. And it's funny that like everyone knew that it was not a noose. It was just a pull rope. They're all over the place in garages. All over the place for the garage door. They're just pull ropes. And it almost seemed to me like that was done. I don't want to get stun locked on it, but that was done to create an opening for social justice to kind of work its way in and someone could start making money. She clerks for Breyer. I think we can be certain a very half-assed investigation will happen. Red, I in my opinion, dude, I think you're right. I think that here's the other thing that I think, just going by that, if nothing happens, nothing comes out, and then everyone's like, oh, well, we don't know who did it, despite the fact that they have a clear thread starting from the political writer, it will tell me that somebody higher up is pulling some sort of strings somewhere. And that woman is being, or man, who knows, is being protected. And it tells me that it was coordinated. That's my tinfoil hat theory. Impeachment is really not an option, is it? I don't know. I'm not a legal expert. I just feel like it would be on the table at that point. Atlas Shrugged. I read that. Took me a long time. That book is thick. It is how you lock a garage, although so they could get foot in NASCAR. Occam's Razor, indeed. I want to look at this real fast. I haven't watched this yet, so I will be seeing it for the first time. Watch. Violence breaks out at a pro-abortion protest after Democrat politicians call to fight. Nancy knew, just my opinion. Maybe. Oh, here's that. Yeah, here's Elizabeth Warren going nuts in front of this. By the way, I love the fact that they already have these ready to go. These, like, signs, banisters, and all this stuff.
And we are gonna fight, and we are gonna fight, and we are gonna fight back.
She's screaming, man. She's screaming. But Bubba didn't report it. Someone else did. Ugh. Yeah, it was a bad take. But and you know what? NASCAR, I think they're starting to pay for it already, if I'm not mistaken. The highly politicized environment impeachment won't happen if the D party stays in power. Oh yeah, it won't. But luckily, the midterms are coming. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're tough, lady. Did she just really...
Back off.
That's right.
Don't do that. Back up. Back up.
Dude, how stupid are you? This is all for abortion. You're right, Mike. I shouldn't assume her gender.
Back in your fucking car! You get the fuck out of here!
Bro, this is all because, dude. My question is, who is this convincing? Like they're getting together and they're effectively trying to invite cops to do violence. This little moment right here with this girl, this little moment was meant to try to get him to do something to her. 100%. What they would do is he would take action against her. They would get pissed off. The cameras, the media would all be there, and they would be like, "Oh, the peaceful abortion protesters were being abused by the police," and that would actually rally more people to their cause because they think, "Oh, this is a fascist state that we live in. We need to fight back." It's the same playbook over and over and over again. Pardon the language, by the way. Dude, can you imagine being that officer right there? It's just him versus all of these people. As this one guy tries to arrest this one guy. Oh, he was forced to let him go. I feel bad for these cops, dude. This is in LA. So, okay. You have politicians out there who are raising a stink once again. And remember that it was politicians who originally encouraged people to go out and start confronting people in public, to chase them out of places, to do violence, to destroy. And then these people get together. Clearly, there are elements of Antifa here. You see, I mean, the hooded, the black bloc and all this, they're dressed in black bloc. This is clearly a... And here's the thing. Anytime that Antifa gets involved, I don't know if any of you read Andy No's book, but anytime Antifa gets involved, there's always someone higher up pulling the strings behind the scenes. Antifa is an organization that you deploy whenever you want to escalate things. And this was clearly escalation. They're breaking car windows, police car windows. They're trying to incite violence from police officers. Like she didn't just walk out from there and not have, like, just to cross between these cars. She wanted to incite violence from this guy or take some sort of action against her. Look at that. Look, she's smiling about it. She thinks, oh, it happened. Good. I hope that got on camera. And then she came back to him. Things are going to get worse before they get better. I think that they're, and if they start to die down, guaranteed, you're going to have activists, you're going to have politicians like Elizabeth Warren out there encouraging things to get bigger. They're never going to say go out and riot in the streets, unlike maybe some members of the squad who might, because you did have oh gosh, what's her name, talking about how she wants to see this taken to the streets, and so long as there's unrest in our lives, there needs to be unrest in the streets, kind of thing. Knowing where this goes, they know by now where this goes. Just seeing by two different instances of Black Lives Matter and how that came out, they know what they're doing. People like Elizabeth Warren, they know what they're doing. This is all, it's all history. It's all repeating itself. This is the same pattern every single time. These videos scare the crap out of me. Buy a gun. Self-defense, man. Another summer of love on the horizon. I know. Look at how in love these... Look how... We're just spreading the love, baby. We're just spreading the love here. Look at how much love there is. Oh, I feel it. Feeling that, just the kindness, the respect. These people are insane, dude. And this is for Roe v. Wade, but it's not Roe v. Wade. This is all galvanization of the Democrat Party. It's not even about Roe v. Wade. It's not even about that at the long run. It's just about getting Democrats together to have Democrats stop talking bad about Democrats and have Democrats start getting mad at Republicans again. To have something that unites them. That's, at the end of the day, I swear to you, this is what it's about. A way to get the attention, the spotlight off the Democrats for their wrongdoing and on something that they know for a fact energizes the Democrat Party and the base. My question, though, is this going to work out as well as it did last time? Because you actually had a lot of people regret Black Lives Matter by the end of it, and Black Lives Matter ended up being an organization that was 110% corrupt. They found that. You haven't seen the media report a lot about it, but it's out there. Right? Black Lives Matter, the organization, the national organization, is actually so mired in questions about its money and taxes and all that stuff. So it's an interesting, I don't know. Maybe people will have learned a lesson and not try to jump on to something like this, but they know for a fact, they have no reason to disbelieve that something like this would work to galvanize the Democrats. And they're pushing it in that direction just in time for midterms. Tired of Democratic cities throwing the police officers under the bus. But hey, they voted for this in Democratic cities. Yeah. My dad's a former police officer. And if I was watching this and my dad, like I knew that he was going out into stuff like this, I would be terrified every time he stepped out that door with a badge on. Every time. I haven't seen that Timcast episode with Andy. Part of the issue is that many of these scumbags know that the cops are being told not to do anything about this or that the prosecution will be minimal. That is actually 100% accurate. There are cities out there who say to the police officers, you cannot arrest Antifa during the riots. During the riots, you can't. What you can do is try to find and prosecute them after the riot. And by that time, it's just too difficult to identify them and know who they are. So effectively I think this is Portland, actually. This is one of the rules in Portland. You cannot go after Antifa while they are trying to destroy or hurt. You can try to go after them to stop them from doing a crime, but you can't really do much to them. You can only try to go after them after the fact. They have to, otherwise the guns should scare the hell out of them. The straight Antifa tactics. Also, all these people that didn't get to riot because Biden won. Well, now here they are. Yeah, they didn't get their chance because Trump lost that election. You couldn't pay me to live in LA. Dude, same. By two. Yeah, and of different kinds. The more things changes, the more human made it. Yeah, exactly. I feel bad for the people of Portland. There are many people in Portland who don't deserve this. But this is what happens when you let radicals take over. I just laughed out loud at your comment, but this is actually making me angry more than scaring me or amusing me. Gotta be a happy warrior. No matter how bad things get. That's why I'm looking forward to reading Fiery but Peaceful by Julio Rosas. He's a good guy. I've met him quite a few times. He really is nice. He was at most of the protests. That dude's brave. I give him that. Back to the money with BLM. It is gone. Oh, yeah. And it's in the pocket of some of its leaders who are now living in multi-million-dollar homes in LA. In super white neighborhoods to boot. Don't you think that's a little strange? I live in Omaha. Don't mess with Omaha police. Doesn't work. My dad was a police officer in Galveston. My brother is now becoming a police officer in Galveston. Scary. It's scary that you have this idea about police officers nowadays that are completely untrue. I think that more people actually support the police than the mainstream media would like to let on, but still, the idiots that these mainstream media people actually, and these activists and politicians, the idiots who believe them wholeheartedly, which is why you see them stepping out and trying to start stuff with cops. Look at the Jossie. Oh, yeah. The Smollett case. Yep, exactly. The whole West Coast is a mess. It's emptying out. At some point in time, they're going to get so empty that they're not going to be able to support their tax policies. The pendulum is going to swing at some point in time. People are going to be like, it's way too expensive to live here and I can't support it. We need to start reducing taxes. We need to start, lowering the cost of living here. And the pendulum will begin to swing. And who knows, because it was up there so hard with California, maybe it'll just swing full right. Life is good. It is only bad when you make it that way. Grateful to wake up every day. And true. I'm with you 100% on that, man. Guys, that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Be sure to go to redstate.com and check out all the awesome articles that are appearing right now. I'm about to get to work writing my butt off. And please sign up for the VIP program. Promo code Morse, M-O-R-S-E, on sign up. Like the stream if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't. That really helps me out too. Follow me at @TheBrandonMorse on Twitter. And if you want me to talk about anything in the next episode, which is on Friday, same time, send me a tweet, send me a little message. My DMs are open. go ahead and send me one, and I'll see if I can address it in the next episode. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you guys on Friday, noon Eastern. Much love to all of you. Keep a smile on. Keep a smile on. We're winning. We're winning. Remember that. They can throw as many temper tantrums as they want to, but at the end of the day, they can only do so much. I will see y'all later. Peace!